This is the San Diego Sports Junkies, a show for fans by the fans, with Josh Taylor, Justin Smead, and Jason Eidsmoe. We're talking Padres, Chargers, and Aztec sports.
Got to hit it to the right place. And he hits it out to center. Right center. Blackman's got a long way to go. He's still going.
Off the wall.
And it is off the wall. It takes a funny hop. Kemp is rounding second. He's heading to third. And Matt Kemp into third base with a triple and the first cycle in the history of the San Diego Padres.
He will hand it off. Tomlinson plows his way towards the goal line. LaDainian Tomlinson, one step closer to football immortality. Tomlinson has tied the single-season record. And the handoff to Tomlinson. Left side, and he will gallop into the end zone. Charger fans are witnesses to history.
Pope thought about it. Now steps up. And the freshman hits the jumper at the buzzer.
Well, this kid is some prospect. Big time length, big time game.
Pope straight away three. Count it. Malik Pope. Pope off glass and good. On the other end, Joel doesn't miss that one. Shepard alley-oop to Pope. He got up there. Oh, wow.
It's time to let your voice be heard.
Well, it's Wednesday. It's 7 o'clock. It's time for the San Diego Sports Junkies. Not a whole lot of excitement going on here in San Diego. Justin and I were commiserating pre-show, and let me tell you something. It's a rough time to be a San Diego sports fan. I'm Jason Eidsmoe, along with, of course, always with Justin Smead, and we're joined today by Mike Maciejewski, owner and editor and all things
Chief operator
of Aztecs Hoops Nation. And Chargers, of course, they lost 28-21 to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yuccaneers.
And but something interesting happened in this game. Melvin Gordon rushed for his 10th touchdown, and that's significant for a couple reasons. Number one, last season he had 0 touchdowns, and we were all, we spent all last year predicting he would get his first touchdown every game. He never got it. And then when we were in the offseason and we were kind of all making our little bit of our bold predictions, Mike Maciejewski, the hater, predicted that Melvin Gordon would score at least 10 touchdowns this year. And while we all wanted him to be right and we all thought it was a great prediction, we kind of laughed at him. And if I wasn't as lazy as I am, I would have actually gone through the archives and I would have found the clip. But I just, quite frankly,
we don't do that here.
I just don't have the time or the energy or the anything.
We all work.
You're
a man. You're 52.
I'm a man. I feel 52. That's for sure.
I'm just playing.
Now, unfortunately for us here, and maybe even for anybody that's listening, that entitles Mike Maciejewski to 3 solid minutes in the show.
I don't even know if he could fill 3 minutes.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, but
he doesn't have enough content.
Oh, I got enough.
If you can hear,
you're on with Dan Rather.
Mike Maciejewski.
What is this?
Mike Maciejewski has 3 minutes of uninterrupted time on the San Diego Sports Junkies. I hope you're ready, Mike.
I'm ready.
Go.
Ready? So I want to spend my 3 minutes talking about the focal point. #focal point. And that is, I was thinking this through. I didn't know what to talk about. We all know I could have talked about Philip Rivers for, hours. We all can, can't we, boys?
Yes.
And one thing that I really, really did hit me is that next year, I really hope this team becomes more of a running team. And you may get Danny Woodhead back, and that's going to take away some touches. But those touches need to come from Philip Rivers. When we were successful was we had LT, we had a good running back that we featured, and we need to feature Melvin Gordon. And I get it. Philip's been asked to shoulder the load. He's been asked to be the guy to throw it, because of injuries and everything. But those days are not here anymore. You have a good running back. Use him. So next year, I don't want to see Melvin Gordon getting 15 touches a game. I want to see him getting, 20, 25 still, and just adding a little bit more Danny Woodhead, whoever it may be. Again, I feel like we're more successful that way, and I know a lot of people, feel like it's an attack, but it's not. Again, there's nothing wrong with being a balanced team, and if you can do that with Melvin Gordon, because last year, let's be honest, he's not the same player. I mean, I'm seeing this guy. He is breaking tackles like crazy. He is catching the ball. He has developed into a really, really good player. And if he continues, he's going to be a very, very good top 5 running back for the rest of his career. And, one thing I was thinking about is, he takes a lot of punishment. He goes through tackles. That's where you need Danny Woodhead to spell him, but not at the cost of him losing, some carries. So what I'm saying is, let's move this team, make the focal point, more of a running game, and let's be more balanced. Because I've looked at the stats, guys. I've looked at the stats, and this team passes the ball a lot more. We lose good receivers, and we're still passing the ball a lot. I mean, this year we've really, what can I say? We were a team that was up in a lot of games, and we should have been salting games away. And we've had this guy that can salt these games away, and we haven't been doing that. So I can see you guys shaking your head. I see I'm not saying anything very controversial to you guys, and I know you guys are ready to chime in. But again, it's not a bash on Philip. It's time to evolve this team and being not one. We're not one dimensional, but we lean heavily one way, and there's no need to. Again, it could really be a positive if we continue to develop Melvin Gordon and make him the hashtag focal point. And, all joking aside, I may give Philip a lot of crap. And again, it's just that he doesn't need to be a gunslinger. He doesn't need to be Brett Favre. He doesn't need to be Aaron Rodgers, who doesn't run the ball. This team is not the Green Bay Packers team. So let's get Melvin Gordon more involved. How much time do I got left, Jason?
I don't have a sound effect. Time is up. Justin,
pretty good.
Go ahead, Justin. You go first, Justin.
No, and I would just like to respond, and I agree with you. I think, it's kind of like the circle of life, right? You start out in diapers, you end up in diapers. Well, in this case,
it's not like that at all. This is football.
I love it. I'm going to use that one from now on. Seriously.
I'm just teasing.
Life. You start out in diapers and you end up in diapers. Somebody has to take care of you. It's a circle of life, and I hate to say it that way, but Philip started out, and it was the first couple of years is give the ball to LT, give the ball to LT. It was throw the ball maybe 15, maybe 20 times a game, no more. I completely agree with Mike in a sense that we need to stop letting him throw so much and really revolve your offense around that offensive line and the running game with Danny Woodhead back and whoever else you're going to bring in here. I agree with that. I totally agree with that. Now, will the offensive line be as good as it was in 2006 or 7? Probably not. We can hope, but that's what they need to really focus on in the offseason, because you can see a difference in teams that run the football with good running backs, a lot of the Dallas Cowboys, guys that are just corn-fed, knock people off the ball. That's the kind of team you need to be. And then let Philip only throw the ball 15, maybe 20 times a game, because like you said earlier, Mikey, he has to shoulder the load. And I don't think in this point in Philip's career anymore, and I'm a Philip lover, I'm getting to the point where I think Philip is making poor decisions in poor times of football games, and it doesn't take a rocket science to see that. And just because I love Philip Rivers doesn't mean I can't criticize him. I think it's time to focus on the hashtag focal point on the run game and get these offensive line free agents, whoever you got to bring in here, draft heavy offensive line, revamp that whole thing. Let Melvin Gordon, Danny Woodhead carry the entire load next season.
When we decided to give Mikey the first 3 minutes of the show, I was worried. Not worried that I was like going, he's going to have 3 minutes of stuff that is going to really make me angry, and I'm not going to be able to say a word until he's through.
It wasn't really that bad.
Not only was it not that bad, this is going to surprise the hell out of us, but it was actually good.
It's like he already had it all pre-rehearsed, it was great.
It was the point that you made. I love the point that you made that Next year, Danny Woodhead needs to get his carries, but not at the expense of Melvin Gordon. And here's one thing that I will agree. I'll agree with Justin. One thing that has surprised the hell out of me is Philip Rivers has made some bad decisions this year. And in the past, one thing is, not that he's we need to be real careful here, and we need to pump the brakes a little bit on the people who are saying we need to change quarterbacks, we need to find another quarterback.
No.
That's not the answer.
No.
This league is quarterback hungry and quarterback starving some of these teams, and to just think that you can pitch Philip Rivers aside and get another quarterback in here that can play at a high level is an absolute ridiculous thought.
It is,
especially with the history of this team. Although recent drafts have not been bad, especially this most recent one. They've actually so far turned out pretty good. But there's nothing that this team does that tells me, they're going to be able to just, in the next draft with a high draft pick the right quarterback and somebody's going to take over Phillip. But he has made some poor decisions, and one of the things that is, what's the word, Mikey, the teacher, exasperated or exacerbated the point is the fact that we have terrible wide receivers right now because we have a lot of wide receivers on IR. The wide receivers that we do have on the field are either injured or they're just too damn young or they're just not that good. And right now, Phillips, unfortunately, being asked to do too much, and then he's even trying to do too much above that. And it's a terrible formula for success. And you see passes like that one in the fourth quarter that, the guy was open, he underthrew it a little bit, and the guy and it was picked off, and it's very, very frustrating. And what is very frustrating about that is we do have a guy like Melvin Gordon who is, I don't know if he's leading the league, but he's got to be up there with yards after contact because this guy does not go down. And I don't care if it's a 2-yard run or if it's a 3-yard run or it's a 25-yard run. The guy, when he gets hit, he always goes or almost always goes forward. And we need to take advantage of that. And I like the fact that give Danny Woodhead next season more touches and more catches at the expense of Philip Rivers. Don't ask him to do as much as he's doing. Go ahead, Justin.
Well, when did he turn into Marion Butts? I don't know. It's nice. I just, the progression we're seeing out of this running back, and Melvin's having a solid year. Knock on wood, something bad doesn't happen. This is phenomenal for the Chargers. Now, if we're going to look into the future, because we have to now, right? We're not going to the playoffs. We know we're not going to the playoffs.
Right.
We get that.
Draft mode.
Yeah, draft mode. And that's fine because you know what? There's a lot of teams in the league in draft mode, and we're one of them, and I can handle that because you know what? Every year we're in fucking draft mode.
I know. So let me ask you this. Let me cut you off real quick. Let me pull a Justin and cut you off real quick.
That's fine. Go ahead.
Right now, are you actually rooting for losses for a better draft pick, honestly, Justin?
I'm not rooting for losses,
okay,
guys.
Mikey?
No, I don't. I can't ever root for losses, man.
If
you lose the silver lining kind of thing,
right?
We lost,
okay.
Not team tank because you can find guys, even if you're middle of the pack, 17, 18, 19 pick in the draft, you can find guys that are amazing players. You just have to do your homework. That's it.
And listen to our podcasts the week after they win a game. We enjoy it. It's so much fun. My whole Sunday is great when the Chargers win. And we only get 16 precious, I keep saying 16 precious regular season games, but we only get 16 precious games. That's all we're getting.
When you say that stuff, I want to tell you, preach, brother, preach. Like I'm at a sermon. I love that. Yeah. Like I want you to say, because it's true. I mean, we're not fans. We're fans of football too.
Yeah.
We like to watch the playoffs, and it's fun. But when our team's not in it, it's like a kick to the nutsack.
Yeah.
It's not a fun time.
No.
Dude, so.
No. And when we lose, it sucks. Even though, like Mikey said, we can talk about silver linings later. I still want to win. I still want to win every single week, even when there's a 0% chance of going to the playoffs. I still want to win, and I still want to see these guys do good. Now, have you guys noticed? Maybe it's just me, and maybe it's just his mannerisms, but it almost looks like Melvin Gordon. He's playing great, but it looks like he's almost getting a little bit worn out. You can see he seems to be getting up a little bit slow at the end of plays.
Yeah.
Is it just me, or is that the way he is, or does it seem to be like that with you, Justin?
It does, and this guy needs some help, dude.
Yeah.
Like we talked about this a few weeks ago with Kenny Farrow, and I think last week he came out just because he had a little nag of something. And Kenny Farrow, I think, had gotten 3 or 4 straight carries, which he did a great job. And I'd like to see Kenny get more,
a few more carries.
I don't need him 10, 12 carries. I just need 3 or 4 during the game to dispel Melvin, because Melvin's taken some punishment, man.
Yeah.
He's going to have that offensive line. I know that he's going to buy them something for getting 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns. But they really need to get him something, too.
Yes.
He's taking a beating, too. And,
he's made a not great offensive line look pretty good.
Yes. He needs to invest in a hot tub, for sure.
Does he look like he's getting a little bit tired? Does he look like he's getting up a little bit slower to you, Mikey?
I haven't noticed it, guys.
Okay.
But I will say, I mean, it would make sense if he had. It's just one of those things that, he's getting beat up. I mean, he's not avoiding contact. He's going straight through it. So, I mean, you can only imagine, obviously, you can just imagine what that does to his body, and it is what it is. So, I haven't noticed per se, but I have noticed that the Chargers are looking to give him a little bit more of a rest. And, again, there's probably a reason for that, and that is because he's shouldering his load a lot.
He's shouldering the load. He was the leading receiver in yards last week. We had a receiver catch one for 50, and we had a receiver catch one for 40, and he was the leading receiver still. He had the most yards. He had 54 yards.
We had one drop one for like 70 last week.
Yes, that's another thing.
Never mind.
Is it? We've talked a little bit about him this year, and everybody throws around the word bust, but Travis Benjamin has been so far a bust as a free agent. I mean,
for that money?
Yeah.
For that money? Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's a pretty easy thing to agree on, right?
Not to say his skill set's it is a bust, but his skill set's there. He's just been dealing with nagging injuries. I get it, but for that kind of contract, man, you need to make plays like that.
The really frustrating thing about it is we've had a lot of injuries, and he's had an opportunity to really make this a big season. He's got a good quarterback, and and he just for whatever reason it has not worked out. Casey Hayward, we're talking about the 28-21 loss still. Casey Hayward had an interception, which continued the Chargers' turnover streak, and he basically shut down Mike Evans, which was just awesome.
Did a great job.
One thing that I noticed, and I hate to do this because it's so easy, and everybody's been doing it for so long, but boy, Craig Mager looks like he is afraid to give up anything deep. He gives a huge cushion. And the whole Bucs passing offense was, hey, let's look for who's 29 is guarding and let's throw it to him because he's going to get a free 7 or 8 yards every time. And it almost seems like Mager's like, well, I don't care if I give up the 7, 8, 10-yard passes. I don't want to give up the 40-yard pass. And we need to see a little bit more aggression out of this guy. I know that he's the number 4 cornerback on this team in the number 2 spot. Let's be realistic here. Any team, if you take their number 4 cornerback and put him to the number 2, the guy's going to get exposed. But this is an opportunity for him to, kind of show what he can do. And while he hasn't been completely, toasted, he is not looking very good. As the season goes on, I'm starting to notice, and I've tried to be the champion for this guy all year long. It seems like he is, he's not getting any better. That's for sure. Mikey, do you? I don't know if you watch him as close as I do because I want to see good, but what are your thoughts on what we've seen from Mager so far?
Yeah, he's, I don't know if maybe he'll be those guys you'll see dividends later. I mean, that experience is something you can't really, measure at times, and so yeah, it's one of those things that he's been thrust into this role, and hopefully it'll help. So if he can gain from this and be better next year, that'll be really important. But I don't see it happening this year. That's really my only hope is that this experience is being thrust into this role will help him develop as a player, and he can take what he learned this season to the offseason and improve. And that's really where my thoughts lie with Mager.
Go ahead, Justin.
No, and I agree, and I piggyback off that. Because you got to figure, man, we're going to be a lot healthier next year. Obviously, if he can just get some resemblance of an NFL corner And I know he's been thrusted into a bigger role, but if he wants to play a little more nickel, barring what Brandon Flowers does next year, we have no idea. But
Right.
you figure if on paper and you have Hayward and Verrett and you throw Mager in there with the experience he's gained this season, I agree with Mikey. If he can take some of that and throw that into the nickel role, I think he'd be a fine player, a solid player. Nothing special, nothing great, but be an adequate player for the Chargers defense.
How sick is this for Charger fans? The Chargers have had the lead in the fourth quarter of every single game this year. Every single game.
I always puke after we lose that game every Sunday.
The motto of the Chargers for the fourth quarter is "Here we go."
Yeah,
that's the motto.
It's here we go. Exactly. You see it on Twitter.
It's so frustrating, and I have a little bit of a theory because. And I hate to keep harping on injuries, but the injuries are what they are. They are there, and they are affecting this team. And when you have injuries like we have, the few guys that are left that are able to contribute, defense works on a rotational basis. You have a few guys that play every play, but you have a lot of guys that rotate in and out. When you don't have as many playmakers left, the guys that are left that are good are going to get more snaps than the other guys. That's just what's going to happen. And I'm wondering if maybe by the time the fourth quarter gets there, these guys are just getting tired. Even like you look at a guy like Joey Bosa, who in the fourth quarter, he's still making plays. I'm not saying he's not making plays because he is, but he'll even take a play off here and there. If
he does. I noticed that. I'm glad you guys noticed that too. It wasn't just me.
Yeah. And I don't blame him at all, first of all, because I'm sure his theory is, hey, look, I'm going to go. If the guy stones me right away, I'm taking this one off, and I'm going to go harder next play. I'm saving it for next play. But you got to rotate these playmakers in because you got nothing left. There's so many playmakers that are not left on the field that these other guys are getting rotated in there even more, and I think that they're getting tired. You agree with that? I know you noticed the Joey Bosa thing, Mikey, but do you agree with kind of that theory at all, or do you think I'm just making excuses?
No. I mean, it's I think natural. It's one of those things like it may seem like like it's an excuse, but anybody who's played a game and who's played at a high level, it happens, and it's not very easily understandable, but it does happen, and so I don't think it's an excuse. I think it's a valid reason on why things are kind of happening the way they are.
Now, sticking with the offensive line, Justin, and I titled this show, by the way, the title of today's podcast is "If This Game Was Two-Hand Touch, We'd Be Unstoppable." And Melvin Ingram, on the whole this year, has had actually a pretty decent season. He's playing pretty well. Is he the dominant force like you see on all these other teams? No, but he certainly is having a solid season. He would be having a Pro Bowl season if the guy had not. He's how many sacks do you think this guy has left on the field? Seems like at least 2 a game. He's got the quarterback completely wrapped up and he gets away. How frustrating is that when you see that, Justin?
Well, I can see how frustrated you are. I'm equally as frustrated. I can't, he's more than a disruptor. I mean, this guy makes plays, but
he's good.
He's really good. He gets back there, but there's no I don't know what happened.
He's not a finisher.
He doesn't.
He's a good example of the whole Chargers defense right there wrapped up into one player.
No, and it's so true because how many times this year have you seen an extra few seconds for the quarterback and he gets a big play down the field, and it's terrible because it could have been a huge play in the ball game, and that's it, dude. That's the definition of the season. And I mean, I keep harping back to what if we had Joey Bosa the first 4 weeks? This could be a entirely different season, guys.
Except for the fact that we're still losing with him now. Remember?
No, but I understand that. But if, say, 1 sack in that Chiefs game where we really needed one, or sack here and there, or pressure to get rid of the football. I'm just saying altering the football game. I'm not saying 15 sacks per game or anything crazy. I'm just saying some of these guys making plays, and we just haven't had enough of them. Like we had said earlier, it's like there's Vaseline on the opponent's jersey. We can't grab them and pull them down. So frustrating.
We could say the same thing about what if Jason Verrett was on the field. I mean, how much better would our quarterback
I
be?
understand. I understand that. It's almost making excuses, but But if you could only imagine Joey Bosa on the field for 4 games, what could have altered the outcome of some of those games?
He'd certainly be the runaway winner of Rookie of the Year. That's for
sure.
So I guess we did get a tiny bit of good news this week, although it's the same thing. A little too late, except that at least our team will be more competitive on Sunday, and that's Jatavis Brown returned to practice today, which was good to see. He has been a beast out there when he's been playing, and I know Corey Toomer's been playing. He's done an adequate job of filling in for him, but he has not been the same thing as Jatavis Brown out there. Do you think that we're going to see him this week? With him back in practice, you got to think he's going to be coming back, Justin. What do you think?
Yeah, and dude, I'm so excited. If he can stay healthy these last 4 games, him and Perriman, I think we're going to see what this defense well, I know minus Mebane, but what this defense can really look like, that front 7 at least.
Yeah.
I know Mebane's a big piece of that, but we all do. Jatavis Brown is a impact player, sideline to sideline, speed guy. He can play coverage in the zone. That's why he beat out Manti Te'o. We all knew Manti Te'o probably shouldn't have been on the field. Jatavis Brown is more athletically gifted. I hate to say that, but that's what it was. That was the truth.
In hindsight, we know that now, but at the time we didn't. At the time, we were all.
But we had seen Jatavis on the field at flashes. When Te'o was out, and not just because of the injury. We had seen him on the field. We thought he was okay.
We thought he was going to be good.
But once he went into that starting role, we go, wow, this kid can play some football. And now we're looking to the future. Now this is. The next 4 games will be a glimpse into next season of what him and Perriman can do as a team in that middle spot.
Yeah, Jatavis Brown coming back, Mikey. Any quick thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, like you said, it's in hindsight. It's easy to say, he was a better player, and I still think there's something to say about Te'o's intelligence over the game.
Yeah, I agree.
That's why he was, I think, one of the defensive captains.
Yep.
So there was that, and obviously when you have a guy that's smart like that, you don't want to just get rid of him. But Jatavis Brown, again, one of those guys, the opportunity came, and you see that silver lining that he's stepped up.
Can I throw something else out there? Somebody that we haven't seen this much. We've seen him on special teams, but we really haven't seen him out with the starting defense, and that's Josh Perry. I'm sure that he's taken a little while to acclimate to the NFL. I'm sure he's taken a little while to kind of get the scheme down. But over these last few games, I'd really like to see Josh Perry worked in there a little bit more. Whether he's actually completely ready or not, I want to see him get some game time, because I actually believe that he's going to be a big contributor next season. I think this season was a little. I know that SoCal Trav was all over saying he'd be starting by week 2. I think that was a little bit aggressive, but I really have some high hopes for Josh Perry, and I'd really like to see him worked out there a little bit more, and even maybe a little bit on the outside over Williams. Turek Williams, I think, is getting I think he could steal a little bit of time away from Turek Williams. See him out there, Josh Perry out there on the field a little bit more, making some plays, because next year I think we're going to get a lot of contributions from him. Do you think that he should be kind of rushed out there a little bit more? Or do you think that we should kind of keep doing him just on special teams this year, Justin? Can you hear me?
I think this next 4 weeks is a. Yeah, you good?
Okay, yeah, go for it.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I think this next 4 weeks is a test for all the players. I think they should put these guys in positions maybe not familiar with. I want to see Josh Perry out there. His thing out of college was he's a very heady, smart kind of guy, all like a la maybe Donnie Edwards type of player. Maybe not the most athletically gifted, but really head smart in a zone coverage, can match up well with guys. I want to see him out there. I think he's a 4th round pick for a reason. So first time we used a 4th round pick in many of years. So so get him out there and let's see what the kid can do. I agree with you.
Yeah. Do you think maybe into some nickel situations or just something where we have a chance to see what he can do? Do you think we should kind of to put him out there, Mikey, or do you think that we should kind of just let the guys that are playing a little bit better keep playing and see what happens in the offseason?
Yeah, I think you just let the guys keep playing, and because again, most of these guys are guys that need some more time.
Yeah,
they need some more time on the court. So let's have those guys play a little bit more and see what happens.
It's a tough call because you got guys like Jatavis Brown, who's still a rookie, so you don't want to steal time from him. You got guys like Corey Toomer, who's actually come on strong and played good. You don't really want to take time from him, so it's kind of a tough call. But I would like to see Pagano kind of wedge him in there, and just kind of see a little bit more of what he can do, because I wanted to see a little bit more out of him when there were some of these other injuries, and we didn't get enough out of him. We haven't seen enough of him, anyways, so far in the season. And with the games, I don't want to mail it in. Like I said, I want to see him win every single week. But at the same time, it's a fine line, because I know I'm kind of talking out of both sides of my mouth right now. But ultimately, I'd like to see him play more. Offensive line in the game. Any thoughts on that, Justin? What you saw? I know we heard Barksdale called for a couple penalties. What's new? Ultimately, I don't think they played terrible. Gordon still ran for it was 76 yards 84 yards, 8 yards short of 1,000 now, because I think he needed 92. So he was so close.
Yeah, he didn't get it. Yeah.
He'll get it next week, of course. But I thought the offensive line played pretty decent. Do you have any grades or thoughts on the offensive line?
Well, I'd give him a B plus, C, B minus, somewhere in there. Melvin had a decent day, but this team lacks offensive line. We know that this is not a strong offensive line. Other than Matt Slauson, I don't see a Pro Bowl guy or Pro Bowl type of guy.
You're right about that.
On this line. I like DJ Fluker, but man, I hate to call it. He's not a bust. He's just a solid player. He's nothing to write home about.
You love his heart and you love his attitude.
Well, but it goes for the other guys on the line too. Franklin should be playing better. And Dunlap, and it's kind of a mess right now. Like we said last week, it's good that all five the continuity's there, and that's good, healthy. But next year they're going to have to do some things. They're going to have to protect an older quarterback longer, and they're going to have to focus on the run game. Maulers up front, guys that want to get after it and beat somebody's ass, because there's times where this team does not want to knock anybody off the ball, and they get pushed around. That's the cold hard truth with this offensive line. But yes, going on last week, they played okay. It was serviceable.
At the beginning of the game, Gates looked like he was going to be more involved. He caught a couple big passes, and then they kind of got away from that. One of the frustrating things that I've seen, and I don't know if he's still dealing with injury or not, but and I know he did catch one pass, I think, maybe two, Hunter Henry. It seemed that every time Hunter Henry was in the game, it was going to be a run. And he was out there run blocking. He was actually doing a pretty good job. But if Gates was out there, it was going to be, a pass. And if Henry was out there, it was going to be a run. Not 100% of the time, But and the reason why I really noticed is I was at a buddy's house watching the game, and he has Hunter Henry on his fantasy team. And he kept saying, why isn't Hunter Henry playing? Why isn't he playing? And I was giving him a hard time, because that's what buddies do. And I said, oh, look, he's out there, so they're going to hand it off. Oh, look, there he is. It's going to be a run. And it was. Almost every time it happened. And then I'm starting to think, well, if it's that easy for me to call it, I wonder if do you guys have an opinion? We'll start with Mikey on why Hunter Henry hasn't been more of a hashtag focal point of the passing game this year. They've kind of gotten away from it a little bit with him.
I don't know. I really don't. Again, especially, you got to see what you got with him. And, I gotta think, kind of like the other receivers on this team, he's unable to get really separation, from the guys. And he should be going against linebackers. But I think because we have such, and I hate to say it, just such poor receivers.
Yeah.
They don't really need to,
focus on those.
They're not worried about the receivers.
No.
Yeah, they're not worried about that.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Justin, what are your thoughts on Hunter Henry?
Well, I like Hunter Henry. I just think we're so depleted, and you guys alluded to it. We're depleted right now, and when you make the tight ends a focal point, hashtag, you kind of screw yourself, because we don't have the talent we used to have at wide receiver. So we know that now. When you're noticing certain players in a game and what they're going to do, obviously the defense is probably noticing that too. So then it goes to the point, well, if Hunter Henry's in and we're running, then how it's your line versus mine. Let's just big boy up and see what happens. But yeah, Hunter Henry's a talent, but what you can't get him out in space or get him up on linebackers when you don't have other talent around you. You have to complement each other. It's just not complementing each other.
Do you guys feel like we don't do enough play action?
Yes.
I feel like we don't.
I do, because the running game's working, right? So I agree with you. Yeah.
And that's where the tight ends can really, really expose them.
Exactly. Yeah, they can run out and get open. And I feel like we're seeing enough of that.
And I think that what they need to do is, and I've been calling for it all year, and I like when I see it, and that is Philip Rivers, get him under center a little bit more, because we're a little bit less predictable. And then that's where you got to run the play action. Don't run the play action from that shotgun draw anymore. It's not as effective. I'm not saying it's not effective at all, but it's not as effective. And when you're running the ball good, they need to get Philip Rivers under center, and they need to start doing some play action stuff and getting the ball to the tight ends, because what you're doing is you're sucking. Of course, I'm not talking about anything new. I'm not an expert here, but you suck the linebackers in, and we have tight ends that are good enough to beat those linebackers, especially when they're going the wrong direction. Justin, I know you wanted to add on to that.
Yeah, it's something I said at the beginning of the show. You start out in diapers, you end in diapers. When Philip Rivers started out with the Chargers, they ran the ball a lot, obviously, with Low Neal and LT and some Mike Turner in there. When that was going on, guys, the play action was so alive and so well and so apparent with Eric Parker and those boys back in the day. These guys could run the field. I do want to see more of that. I miss those days. I thought Philip, when he loaded up for Travis, in that he loaded up a big deep ball that I hadn't seen in a long time. He put some air under that thing, and it was perfectly placed. And that you have to catch balls like that. You can't let your team down like that. Yeah. And I miss those days with LT, because they had to worry so much about him. And I think we're getting to that point with Melvin, just as not a home run hitter, but he's going to get you the tough 4 or 5 yards a play. And you have to worry about him. Yeah, and you have to worry about him in the box as a defense. So I'm fine with loading up with the play action pass.
Yeah, I want to see a little bit more of that.
Me too.
Ultimately, when the season's going like it is, we can just harp on how bad everything is and how things aren't going well. And
sure.
We've already done it for 38 minutes minus Mike's 3 minutes of gold. That's
what I think that's a good way to describe it. It was really gold.
It was actually, mad props to you, because it was 3 minutes.
Emmys of podcasting. I think we should send that in.
That would be our clip. Yeah, the Mikey 3 minutes of gold, and in the if this game was too untouched, we'd be unstoppable podcast episode. The last thing I want to talk about, and we've spent so much time on this in the off season, and I don't want to beat it to death, but the moving to LA thing is starting up again. I don't know if you guys noticed, but the Chargers, now that they don't have the blackout rules anymore, the stadium was at like 78% capacity, which is just awful.
When? Last week?
Bucks, yeah.
No way. It wasn't even 78%.
Was it 73? I might have the numbers wrong.
No, it's not even that. Like, there wasn't even like there's no way it was even in the 70s.
Well,
there's no way it was in this. Yeah, well, okay. Well, that's fine. But you watched on TV, there was and you've seen pictures on Twitter, you're going, "Oh my God." Even Nick Hardwick on the said, well, he said it the next morning. Yep. He couldn't believe, never seen it that empty in his life.
Ultimately, with all of the we're moving to LA things, they're just killing the fan base, absolutely killing the fan base, and
losing doesn't help.
Losing doesn't help, but it's not just that. The people, The people will come back for a winner, but they keep just all these reports are they're leaving, they're gone, and the only thing that I'll say about it, and I might have said it before, is why would Spanos want to be the Clippers? The Clippers have been second, the forgotten team of LA for so long.
Agreed.
And now it's kind of getting a little bit cool to like the Clippers, but for the last 25 years or 20 years or whatever.
It was not cool to be a Clipper fan.
No, because nobody gave a rat's ass about the Clippers, and that's exactly what's going to happen to the Chargers if they go up there. Even though the Rams suck, it's going to the fan base, at least they like the Rams. At least they wanted the Rams there. Nobody wants the Chargers. Nobody in LA wants the Chargers.
It would be a disaster. It would be an absolute disaster up there.
Why would you keep pushing this? We're going to
maybe it's a threat. Maybe he's trying to get more.
All he's doing is just killing his San Diego fan base. And you have diehards who, there's been times where like us as diehard fans have said, fuck this team, I don't care anymore. But we always come back because we love the team. But not everybody's like that. And there's a lot of people that have said, fuck this billionaire. If he, take the team if you want, stay. I don't care. I'm not going to support him anymore. And every time they just float this word, it's inevitable that we're moving up to LA, it just kills off more of those fans. That's all they're doing is killing off their fan base. And the only way, even if they stay, the only way to fill that stadium to capacity now will be to start winning big time. That's the only way you'll drag these fans back. That's it. And they haven't shown that they can do that in a long time. And replacing the coach isn't the answer. You're not gonna bring any of these fans back. You have to start winning, and it doesn't look like they're gonna do that. So why would he keep alienating all these fans? Go ahead, Justin.
Well, we've touched on this how many times, guys? I mean, we've really this is a old broken record.
No, we're beating a dead horse.
But I can tell you this: when you invest your time. Nice block. When you invest your time and your soul and your money at Qualcomm to support a team in your city, for all these years and just everything you do as a community, it drains you when somebody says, and especially the owner, hey, we're going to leave, or this is going to happen, or this is going to happen, or you hear the rumors. It really drains the life out of a community. It really does. You can see it on TV when you watch the games. We've never seen in the past, 3 or 4 years, I've never seen Qualcomm like that in my life. Ever.
No,
ever. Even when we were terribly bad, I never seen the opposing team's fans there so much. Even when we were like in 2000, 99, 98, like all those bad years, it's bad. It's just it's draining. It's a draining thing for the community.
And the thing that sucks is they're losing a few of the diehards. They're losing all of the casual fans. The casual fans are just going, and they're not ever going to come back. Unfortunately, with the way that Exactly.
No, I was going to say the good point is you mentioned is now there's no blackout, so you can watch your team at home. If you're a casual fan, and there's that. It's like you said. We've said it, and there's other fans that voted that way because of just how they feel, because based on Spanos
and the approach that they had. The approach they had was awful, and then they kind of tried to come back and kind of be a little kind of change it a little bit, but I think it was a little bit too little, too late, and now it's.
I will say though, at least now you don't hear it coming from from Fabiani.
Yeah, that a little bit of an improvement, but Justin's doing his happy dance. You guys see, my other computer. I got like 6 computers here that I have to use to run this show.
Don't tell Mikey what's going on.
Is Mikey watching the game?
That's
just watching
a
little.
You're on delay though, right, Mikey?
I think he pauses it. He listens to the show.
All right,
that's all right.
So ultimately, that was what I had to say about Spanos, and when the team's losing and all the stuff that's going on right now, it makes it real tough for us to
not a good combo, Jason. That's it.
And we don't want to sit here and talk for 2 hours about why the Chargers lost, because we're just saying the same things over and over again. So I actually want to switch gears. We're going to make this show actually pretty short and sweet today. We don't need to do a 2-hour show today, but I do want to talk about Aztecs football real quick.
The
Aztecs did something that I did not expect, and that was they went into Wyoming and they beat Wyoming. I did not expect that. Rocky Long played it pretty aggressive at the end, and although the play did not work, one thing I liked about him, he doubled down and he got aggressive on defense, and I did like that. I like the fact that while people say all the prevent does is prevent you from winning, and I don't think that he played. I think that it was a little deceiving because I still think that the DBs played back a little bit, but what he did was what I love to see, and that was he was aggressive up front, and he blitzed up front, and they were not able to move the ball down the field, and they were not able to come back. The Aztecs got the victory. The other thing that in a cold environment,
yes, for the second time. Way to go!
Yeah,
what a great win, though.
And it was a really good game too.
Yes, it was, and it was a great win, though, like a great team win. That's what they had already lost. Their spirits are down a little. They just went in there and they fought. They fought and they got it done. It was awesome.
I didn't. Go ahead, Mike.
And the win alone, I mean, they started off down 10-0 after the turnover. Hold on, Justin. Slow down. Slow your roll, buddy. They go down, 10-0 after the turnover, and after that, they come back. And the one thing I told Justin the other day is that, I love the fact that Rocky's old school. I mean, he's an old school guy, no nonsense kind of guy, but man, he is not old school in his way of thinking about these games.
Yep.
I'm of the belief if you're inside the 15 and you have a chance to win the game, you go for it and you let the other team go 85 yards.
Yeah.
Because if field goal, you're going to let them go 30 and they're going to go for a touchdown anyways.
Yep.
So I love it. But it's, you see these old school coaches in the NFL and they stay old school in everything, like the way they think, the way they coach. And Rocky's not like that.
No.
And I love it. Oh, nice block. I'm at the block, Justin.
And I'll give him, and I will give him credit for this. One of the reasons why is because when you make a call, when you make a decision that is not of the norm and it doesn't work, you get crucified for it. When Rocky Long went for 2 and they ended up losing that game. However, when the next opportunity came, he said, I don't give a fuck what these people think. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. Now, me personally, we've already talked about this. I like more of a conservative style, but I respect the hell out of him for saying, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And, I could care less what Twitter thinks.
And again, it's kind of like, in NFL, like it has to be like a whole organization agrees. Like we're going to go for it. We're going to go, play probability. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work out. And that's this, not everybody's always on. I mean, I'm sure you've seen like articles where like, the guys that do the numbers and stuff, they're arguing with management about what to do here, what to do there. So
percentages,
the analytics guys. There you go, analytics guys. Right. Always arguing with analytics guys and coaching, and Rocky's like, forget it. He's an analytics coach with an old school coaching mentality, which I love. I respect that.
Got a little spin on it, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add, and I've never had the biggest, strongest opinion on Aztec football in my life. Like, I've never put too much stock into it. I should have back in the early days when I started watching it. But for me, like, I like Rocky Long. Like, if you'd asked me 4 or 5 years if I liked Rocky Long, I like Rocky Long. I like his approach. I like his demeanor, like you just touched on. I like the old school. I don't care what you think. This is my philosophy. And I wish Mike McCoy would be like that. I wish he would be more, like, firm with his stuff. Like, this is what we're doing. If it didn't work, I'm sorry. This is my approach. He doesn't do that, but Rocky Long does that. And I like that about Rocky. He's very honest, and he has strong opinions about what his philosophy is. And if you don't like it, you can get the F out of here. I like that about him.
Well, essentially, he's the general manager of the team.
Yes, he delegates everything. He's the dictatorship.
I just like the fact that, he says, hey, this is what I tried and it didn't work,
Yes. Exactly. And he wears it on his sleeve.
Because
he owns it.
It's I don't like second guessing, and I don't like people tearing down. We've talked that to death. One thing I want to talk about Chapman, who I think is not a very good quarterback, to be honest with you. He's just
Agreed.
And one thing that he did against Wyoming, which I liked, was the fact that when his first option wasn't there, and we all know he's not a really good quarterback, he ran the ball. And I actually like that because he's not a running quarterback. He's not like Michael Vick out there. But on 3rd and 17, you have one option. If it's not there, pull the ball down and run. That's what not very good quarterbacks do. And I like to see that. Get 4, 5, 10 yards. I don't care. Punt the ball. You're going to get the 3 yards.
Justin.
You're going to get the 3 yards on 3rd and 3 every once in a while as well. And he did that more in this game against Wyoming. And when they, the Aztecs now are going to the Frito Pie Bowl or whatever they're going to this
year. Stop
it.
Knock it off, hater.
This
is the Target.com Bowl. Knock it off.
The Frito Pie Bowl and that's what I want to see him do. Go if you're going to go back to pass. If your first option's not there, you're not good enough to go through your progressions. You're just not. Take the ball and run because unfortunately, and I've said this all year long, with the running attack the Aztecs have, he should be thriving throwing the ball because nobody is trying to stop the pass, and he's not doing that. What's your thoughts on him running the ball a little bit more, Mikey? I know he's not an option running quarterback or anything like that, but do you like to see him pull the ball down and run a little bit more often?
Yeah, I mean he does it well, and it's a good thing to see because he doesn't force it. He doesn't force it, takes what's there, and it's again the quarterback who's not as I won't say talented, but not as
he's not as talented. He just isn't.
Well, not a great passer. He's not a good pocket passer. You want to see that they don't force it, and those guys tend to force it, and that's he's the ultimate game manager.
Okay.
And a question for Mikey, maybe he knows, but I know it's not easy to recruit quarterbacks, but why can't we get a decent quarterback in here since Ryan Lindley's left? I know Maxwell Smith was okay.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying he was like God or anything.
No,
he was okay, but he was a little better than Chapman.
He was a little better, and Maxwell Smith actually started to grow on me a little bit because I was a big detractor of his.
But I want to ask Mikey this, and I know the pipeline is, and he dives more into the recruiting scene,
right?
Not necessarily for football always, but I know he knows a little bit about it. There's for a team that's been Mountain West champions for the last couple years, and then always been in probably contention for the last, I'd say 5-6 years.
Right.
Why can't we get a decent quarterback at San Diego State?
Yeah. Good question. With the offensive line we have and the running attack we have, you'd think that quarterbacks would want to come here and have a chance to really thrive.
Yeah, the thing is that it's twofold. Some people think it's because of our running style, and also we're not known to have really great receivers.
Yeah.
So a lot of people people don't want to come here because you don't have great receivers. Another part is that we don't really get 4-star guys. So you're here trying to pick out 3-star quarterbacks.
Sure.
And we had I believe his name was Matt Marin a couple years ago. He was supposed to be like a 3-star, almost 4-star guy, and he ended up transferring because he was ended up 5th on the depth chart. Plus, lastly, you got to remember in high school, some of these kids don't play pro style.
Yeah, you're right.
So you're kind of limited. We have a pro style. If you look at Lucas Johnson from Mount Carmel, who went to Georgia Tech after he committed here, he was not a pro style guy, and so there was.
I was stoked about Jake Rodriguez, and he had transferred from Oregon a couple years ago, and I was an Oregon prospect. Wanted to come to San Diego, and he never panned out either. So
no, he didn't.
You're right. It's crazy how it works.
Yeah.
And one of the things the Aztecs do, which a lot of college teams don't do, is they do run a pro-style offense. And
they do.
And, since Ryan Lindley, I know Ryan Lindley wasn't that long ago, they're having a whole lot of trouble bringing quarterbacks in here. And I don't know. I don't understand the recruiting game as much as Mikey, but you'd think that you'd be able to get maybe even like a junior college transfer, somebody to come in here and say, you know what? That's just like I always said in the past. If you have any ability to kick a field goal, why would you not want to run to San Diego State? Because they're dying for a field goal kicker, and now that hasn't been a problem the last few years. Because if you remember, we couldn't kick a field goal past 25 yards, just a few years ago.
2 years ago you couldn't.
That was the worst season.
You remember that? I mean, it wasn't that long ago.
wasn't like a terrible season. It just every time you would cringe when a kick would come up. You're like,
it was,
no.
Before Donnie Hageman.
Yeah. So is there any chances to bring in is there any other quarterback prospects? Or I know Chapman's only a sophomore right now. Are we looking at him being our quarterback the next couple of years?
No, I expect possibly them trying to get a transfer quarterback to compete. I think it's pretty apparent that he didn't improve. I mean, you saw potential in the 2 games he played. I mean, he was MVP of the Mountain West Championship game.
Right.
So there was that, and we're hopeful there. But I mean, you're probably gonna see a transfer, and I believe they have a quarterback commit already, a 3-star recruit. But obviously, quarterback's gonna be important. Plus, getting some good what do you call them? Some good
wide receivers, to
help them out. So I mean, it's tough. Again, we're getting to this. It's like we're at this midway level where we're not getting 4 stars yet, but we're getting high 3 stars, and our high 3 stars are getting picked off by Pac-12 teams, who get an open spot at the end of the time. And you know how it is with some kids; they just don't really see the future. They don't see I may not play here.
Right.
Hence, you have some nowadays.
And that's the problem with Aztecs football right now. They have a really, really solid team, but the problem is they're a mid-level team, and they're one of the best at the mid-level. And they're they went through the season and they pretty much dominated. The problem is when they played a team that was just a little bit better than that, they got crushed. And they have to get they have to get better players, but not only do they have to get better players, they have to play against some better teams, I think, because I think they get too used to playing against easy teams.
I feel like that's the case for both the basketball team and the football team. I feel like the Aztecs basketball team gets good athletes and good players, but when do you take that next step to get that premium player? And I know football's a little tougher. They want to go to the big schools all the time. Basketball's a little different. You can be persuaded differently, I think, in basketball. That's just my opinion.
You can really shine.
Well, you can shine. You can shine earlier in basketball if you're
if you're a wide receiver, you need a quarterback to throw the ball. In basketball, you can go out there and shine on your own.
Yeah, but in football, if you're if say you're going to be 17 going on 18, you're not going to play your first year in football.
Yeah,
there's no way you're going to be on the field unless you're super talented. Basketball is different. Basketball, you can be promised, hey, you're going to get minutes, you're going to get playing time, and you can be a 5-star recruit. Yep. If you're a 5-star recruit, you're going to probably be a starter. But I'm just trying to say, I think San Diego State is digressed in that department. They don't get the recruits they used to get, and I know there's been. We can go over the damn reports that people put out there and for the basketball team and knocked our program and all that stuff. But I'm saying I just think we haven't taken the next step as a school for the recruits, and that's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah,
maybe that's a part of it.
What's your thoughts on that, Mikey? Do you think that they've lacked in the recruiting?
In football or basketball?
Both. I think both have lacked.
Yeah, I mean it's been down. I mean since that Trey Kell, Malik Pope, Silent Cheatham's gone down, and by the way, I'm caught up with you guys now.
Oh, you're live?
Yeah, I'm live.
Oh boy.
You guys want to hear something funny? Is we're right now just about ready to wrap this show up, and Hal just joined us.
Hello, Hal.
Hal, I'll tell you what you need to do, Hal, is you need to go back to about minute 2 through 5 or minute 3 through 6. I can't remember. Maybe it's even 4 through 7. Mikey had 3 solid minutes to say whatever he wanted, and none of us can interrupt him. So you're gonna have to tune back because ultimately I think we've done enough. It's tough to sit here and beat down why the Chargers lost. We've done it all season long, and I really don't want to do 2 hours of the Chargers of all the things that went wrong for the Chargers, to be honest with you. So ultimately, I know you guys are both watching the Aztecs game right now. I just turned it back on myself. A couple minutes left in the game. I'm going to let you guys go. We're going to finish watching the Aztecs game and hopefully see the basketball team win against Grand Canyon University.
The Antelopes.
It shouldn't be close, but whatever. Mikey, great 3 minutes. I appreciate that 3 minutes of gold. You had your spotlight, you had your opportunity, and you did not disappoint. Thank you very much for bringing it, Mikey.
All right, thank you guys.
You can check him out. AztexHoopsNation.com. Check all the mostly basketball recruiting news, but he also has football recruiting news as well. Justin,
as always,
talking to you Sunday morning in the pregame show. We'll be talking about what the Chargers need to do to win because we still want them to win.
Yes, we do. We don't want to tank the whole year.
We only have a few games left.
Right.
Ultimately, after that, I don't really have a whole lot more to say. I think I'm gonna call it quits. Thanks for all of you guys that are listening. Don't forget to check us out on New Media Network, East Coast-based 24-hour podcasting network. We didn't run any commercials today, so we didn't really have a chance to prep to introduce them. But they're really cool guys. They've been really neat to bring us on board. They have 24-hour podcasting. You can check out our show as well as all the other shows they got going. Other than that, you guys have a good evening. Thanks for joining us. I think we're going to wrap things up.
Thanks, buddy. Have a good rest of your night.
Every Sunday morning, check us out from 9 to 10, and every Wednesday night, 7 to whenever we finish today. Might be a little bit early. We'll talk to you guys next week, man.
All right. See you guys.
Mikey, I'll be in touch.
Okay, we'll do.
Thank you for listening to the San Diego Sports Junkies, a show for fans by the fans. Brought to you by Cali Comfort, home of the low and slow barbecue, and SK Digital Imaging with Josh Taylor, Justin Smeed, Jason Eidsmoe, and Mike Maciejewski. Subscribe to us on iHeartRadio, on Spreaker, and on iTunes. Visit SanDiegoSportsJunkies.com for all your Chargers, Padres, and Aztecs news.